Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you're joining us today in today's live lecture coming to you from Nkolo Mahadum Wisdom University. Today's date is Nkwo Market Day in the Igbo lunar calendar, and in the Roman Catholic calendar, today's date is June 17, 2025. Remember, at Nkolo Mahadum, we always advise you to use your naturally given common sense, which we call akonuche in Igbo language. And we are primarily set up to decolonize your mindsets and save you from mental slavery. That is why we package the lectures from Igbo man and African Biafran perspectives and present them to you as such. How you, as an Igbo man, as a Biafran, an African, should be seeing things. Don't be seeing things from the way other cultures are seeing them. You see things, you see things about how it is affecting you. That is why we are asking you to please join and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And also like, comment, and share our lectures. Also important is for you to go back to our previous lectures, because most of the things that we are covering for you, we are projecting for you, that we are lecturing in this university is for your benefit as an African. And the title of today's lecture is The Israel Attack on Iran on June 13th, 2025. That Israeli attack on Iran on June 13th, 2025 is what we want to explain to you, that it came from the Greeco-Roman Empire to World War III expansion. Because, we already told you that we are in Third World War already, with all the wars already going on before Israel attacked Iran. We're already in Third World War. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And so we are saying that Africans should be neutral. In this Third World War expansion, Africa should be neutral. We don't want to see a situation where African troops are being recruited to fight in this Third World War that is going on now, that has expanded now between Israel and Iraq, and the major powers that are behind this war. And before we continue, we have to give you a historical perspective. We always give you historical perspective about how everything started, so that you know. Because na ndị be anyị si na onye amara ebe mmiri no wee mara ya aghara ama mgbe ọ no wee kwụsị. So that's why we always try to give you historical perspective, so that you know where the rain started to beat us and where we are going with this. So the Greco-Roman Empire. The Greco-Roman Empire began from 360 to 140 BC, before the Christian era. That was when the Greco-Roman Empire came to be. And that empire was the Greeks and the Romans coming together. But the Romans were the one leading the Greeks, but it's called Greco-Roman Empire. And that empire ran from between 360 to 140 BC. The next empire we want to explain to you is the Roman Empire. This Roman Empire started from 27 BCE, before the Christian era, to 476 CE, Christian era. And specifically, the Roman Empire ended in 1453 CE. That was when the Roman Empire ended. And the Roman Empire went for a period of almost 22 centuries. The Roman Empire went for a period of 22 centuries, which is about 22,000 years. That was when the Roman Empire was ruling the whole world. And you wonder why the Catholic Church have a very strong influence and have a lot of people supporting them, because they didn't know that the Roman Empire began from 27 BCE and ended in 476 CE, which covered a period of almost 22 centuries. So that was why the Roman Catholic Church is still very powerful today. And why we want to start from the Greco-Roman Empire is to let you know that it is the same people that have been fighting wars, that have been conquering the world. That is why we started from the Greco-Roman Empire to go down the list of empires from the same people, from Western Europeans. When we say Western Europeans, you know whom we are talking about. Now you hear about the Greeks, you hear about Rome, which is Italy, you hear about Britain, you hear about France, you hear about Belgium, you hear about a lot of them. All the Western Europeans, they are the one that is involved in creating all these empires. Empires means going to war and killing people and taking their stuff, taking their lands and resources. The Third Empire, which originated also from the Western Europeans, is the British Empire. The British Empire ran from 1500 CE, the Christian era, to early 20th century. And it ended in the early 20th century, which means around events that happened around 1930s or 1940s or 1950s. Because how the people come to the conclusion that the British Empire is ending was when India got their independence in 1947. And also Israel in handing over Hong Kong to China in 1997. In addition, the Suez Canal crisis also confirms the decline of the British Empire. But before then, they've been taking lands, they've been acquiring properties, they've been killing people. And the British Empire lasted for 3 centuries, unlike the Roman Empire that lasted for 22 centuries. The British Empire lasted for 3 centuries, which is about 300 years, with about 400 million people at that time. About 400 million people at that time. That is why even all the lands and resources in the world, the current Prince Charles of Britain controls 1/6 of all the lands and resources in the world. That is what we want you to know, so that you don't just see the Iran-Israeli conflict from the surface. Know how everything started and who are in this fight, who is pushing for this conquest. This brings us to let you know that by the year 1900, Western European imperialists controls about 85% of all the land and resources in the world by fighting and taking over people's land and resources. The Western Europeans, like we have said before, Belgium, Italy, Spain, France, Germany, Britain, and others. They are the Western imperialists. They are the ones that have left their land, secured their own land, and going to other people's land to kill them and take their land and resources. So by 1900, they're already controlling about 85% of all the lands and resources in the world. Now, don't forget that even before that 1900, between 1884 to 1885, they have had what they call the scramble and partition of Africa, where they brought the map of Africa on the table and shared Africa to themselves, resulting to what we have now as colonial boundaries in Africa. All the artificial colonial boundaries that you call countries today were as a result of the Berlin Conference of 1884 in Germany, where they divided Africa to themselves. So if you are an African, for example, if you are a Biafran or a Nigerian, your land is already taken in 1884 and 85. You are not in control of that land. As long as that artificial demarcation is there from 1884, that's what we still have. You have already lost your land and resources. And this is what IPOB family and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu are fighting for, to dismantle that colonial boundary that the Europeans carved by sharing Africa to themselves in 1884 to 1885. Understand what is going on, Africans. Understand it. Don't be seeing things from the surface. Now, remember that I've told you that by 1900, the Western European imperialists are controlling 85% of all the land and resources in the world. Now came the First World War. The First World War started July 28, 1914, and ended November 11, 1918. Who are those that are fighting the war? They call themselves the Allied forces. Who are the Allied forces? France, UK, Russia, USA, Italy, Japan. And whom are they fighting against? The Central Powers, the one they call the Central Powers, which included Germany, Austria/Hungary, Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire is the current Turkey, and Bulgaria. These are what they call the Central Powers. And who won the war? Who won the First World War? The Allied forces. France, UK, Russia, USA, and Italy. And when they won that First World War, the Arab land, the land in the Middle East, was also shared amongst the winners. That's why Britain got Palestine and even Saudi Arabia. It was Britain that appointed the family that is ruling Saudi Arabia today to be the leader of Saudi Arabia. And then France got Lebanon and Syria and others. That was how they shared the land of the Middle East after the war, this First World War ended. Just the same way they shared Africa was the same way the same people shared the land and resources of Middle East, of the Arab world. Very, very, very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Now, okay, let's not get there. Let's go to the Second World War. The Second World War also was fought from September 1st, 1939 to September 2nd, 1945. Who are those fighting? The Allies, who they call the Allies forces again. Who are the Allies forces in that Second World War? United Kingdom, Russia, USA, China, France. And who are they fighting against? Against the Axis powers. The Axis powers are Germany, Italy, and Japan. You see how the interest is moving. Italy was among the Allied forces in the First World War. But in the Second World War, her interest changed. He didn't fight with the Allies. He fought with the Axis powers. And the Allied forces won the Second World War. It was after that Second World War that America came out of that war stronger than every other nation and became the empire of the world. From 1945, the world began to live under the American empire. That's something you should know. So even if you are a Biafran or an African living in America, you should know that you are living in an American empire. America is the one that is controlling the world as we live today. But other powers, like you have seen, that even Russia and China were among those that fought on the side of the winners in the First World War and the Second World War. So other powers like China and Russia have now been organizing the BRICS nation, who are saying they don't want wars, they want equality, they want more freedom than what the American empire stands for, which is the unipolar globalist order. And so these are the things that you should know as an African. Understand the sequence of events, understand who is fighting and benefiting from these wars from time immemorial. If we had gone back to the earliest century before Christ, before the Christian era, you can see that the Europeans have been fighting for a very, very, very long time. They have been fighting and benefiting from wars for a very, very, very long time. And so America has so much influence in the world. They have about 750 military bases. They use a regime change operation to put people, and also their democracy. And you know, their democracy is to install their own puppet, a puppet that will be listening to them, following their orders, or do regime change. So these are the tools they are used to maintain the empire, plus the military bases they have across all the whole world. And so we want you to know that the current Israel, the current state of Israel, was established in the land of the Palestinian people. The current state of Israel was established on the land of the Palestinian people. By who? By Britain, United States, France, especially those that won that First World War. They are the one, but mainly, particularly, America and Britain cited the current Israel on the land of the Palestinian people. That's why you've been having all these wars in that area, because the Arabs that own that land, the Arabs that are the neighbors over there, they didn't like that. They protested the establishment of Israel on that place. After all, Israel could have been established somewhere else. Like I've said earlier, during the Roman Empire and British Empire, and by 1900, the Europeans already occupied so many lands and resources all over the world. They have other areas they can go and establish the state of Israel instead of going to the land of the Palestinians. They have so many vacant lands that they can go and establish the land of Israel, because conquests have taken over so many lands that were never returned. For example, the place that America is living today, it's not their land. They came from Europe and occupied it, and it was never given back to the American Indians that own that land. The same thing with Canada, the same thing with Australia, and so many other areas. And even South Africa, where the Europeans are living now, they're not living, it's not their land, but they're still living over there. So why going to establish the state of Israel on the land of the Palestinian people? That is the genesis of all the wars that you are having between Israel and their neighbors. And who are supporting Israel? Mainly America and Britain are the main supporters, including France, supporting Israel in her wars. That was why Israel had been winning the wars. It doesn't mean that Israel have the capacity to win any of the neighbors. No. It is the American people, American government, that is supporting, financing, weaponizing Israel as much as possible to be winning the wars. So that's what we want you to know. Now, we have told you at Nkola Mahadum Wisdom University that we're already in Third World War. How else can you define World War? When you wake up every morning and you hear that properties built by man is being destroyed, you hear that human beings like me and you are being killed in numbers every day, every day, every day. Why can't we have a war that is better? And so the current world wars we've been having includes the Ukraine and Russian war. Remember, the other day, even somebody like Soyinka, Wole Soyinka, was saying that it was Russia that caused the war in Ukraine. No, it was not. Wole Soyinka and people like him should go back to the 2014 Milan coup, the coup that removed the government in Ukraine that was neutral and installed the government that will support America and the NATO forces. That was when the war started. And then they started to kill the Russian-speaking Easterners, the Donetsk region, for 8 years. That was why Russia did what they did. And so that war now, everybody following it have seen all the destructions, all the killings that have been going on in that war. And then you have this Israeli, Palestinian, Gaza, Yemeni, Lebanon, Syrian wars. You see Israel going into Gaza because of what happened in October 2022, and they expanded it, destroying the whole Gaza, killing people every day, both women and children, and depriving them of food and other things. And so that in itself is a genocide, just like the Biafran genocide. So Israel right now is committing a lot of genocide in Gaza. Plus, they are also fighting with Yemen. Yemen is the one defending the Palestinian people. And Israel also bombs them. And also Israel fights with Lebanon, occupying some land there. And also Syria. So all these wars you see going on around the world is already Third World War. And who are behind these wars? The same players. The same players are behind the wars because America, Britain, and other Western Europeans, NATO members are supporting Israel. It's the same players. And so the war in Sudan, you see the war in Sudan, where the Sudanese armed forces and the rapid response forces are fighting. Below that fighting, the same players are there, the same players. America is supporting one side, Russia is supporting one side, the same players. Humans are being killed, properties are being destroyed. We shouldn't be living in such a world. The war between the colonial masters and the AES states, the states that came together, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, that came together to fight, remove the colonial exploitation from their land. They're indirectly trying to kill their leaders. That is war in itself. It's a war. Trying to kill Ibrahim Traore, trying to kill the president of military leader of Niger and Mali. That is a war. The war in the Congo between M23 rebel and others in the Congo. That's a war. If you look deep, you will see that it is the same players that are playing this, that are underneath, putting fire in the fight. Only all for them to get your land and resources. And then the war between the Fulani, herdsmen, terrorists, and Nigerian people. The other day, they killed 200 people in Benue State. The other day, they killed about 10 people or 12 people in Enugu State. They're kidnapping, killing, harvesting, taking ransom. That's a war. That's a war between the Fulani herdsmen, terrorists, and other Nigerians in Nigeria. There's a war going on right there. But the government will not come and tell you that that's a war. It's a war. And then this is just to mention a few of all the wars that have been going on around the world as we know it, plus others that is going on secretly that we don't know. That is not called war, but it's war. The Americans and the Chinese fighting over Taiwan. Isn't that war? And so there's so many other wars that is still going on that is not supposed to be. If there is equality in the world, if humans are seen as equal and as respectful and as the same, why should we be having wars? All these wars is to get your land, get your resources, or keep you in poverty. Why should one be thinking like that against another human being? So all these wars we have agreed at Greeco-Roman that we are in Third World War. And then the Israel attack on Iran on June 13th, 2025 is only the expansion of that Third World War. Folks, we are in Third World War already, and the Israeli attack on Iran and the Iran revenge on them is just an expansion of that Third World War. That's what we want you to know at Greeco-Roman. We don't want to go into the details of who has destroyed this and who has killed this and who have done that. No. Understand that we are in Third World War, and the Third World War has been exacerbated, has been worsened, has been increased by the Israel attacking Iran and Iran attacking back, and they are going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the world is now looking at America to know what she will do. Will America do as Trump promised everybody that he is coming for a better peaceful world? He wants to end the war in Ukraine. And this one erupted. Is he going to stand up to end it? Or will he go ahead and put fire and join in the fight? And which may eventually lead to nuclear war. And you know that in that nuclear war stuff, we don't want to get into that. Africa has no place. No African country have nuclear weapon. But others do. Why should others do, but no African country have nuclear warhead? And so the whole world is looking at America to play a peaceful role than exacerbation or putting more fire by joining Israel in this war. Because they know the genesis of the creation of Israel. They know how they've been supporting Israel, giving them everything they need. And they know how to stop Israel from being too aggressive among its neighbors, so that we can have a peaceful world. So the whole eyes of the world is on America, American President Trump. And so what we are saying to Africans is that you have to be neutral in this war. All this world war going on, you have not conquered anybody. You have not taken anybody's resources. You are there as an Africans. The colonial powers are playing you like ping pong, using their Western democracy to impose their puppet on you, using regime change to remove key leaders that doesn't agree, that wants to develop Africa. Why should you be judging something that you don't know? That is why we decided to present the lecture from the beginning, so that you understand that it's the same people, the same race is the one instigating all the wars, having nuclear weapons. We still have to go over there in one of our lectures. Why should you, as an African that is suffering, that even your land has been taken in the 1884/1885 Berlin Conference, why should you be taking side in this war that is going on, this world war, in this expansion of World War III? Don't be emotional as an African. Do not be emotional and say, because I'm a Christian or because I'm a Judaism, that I should be supporting Israel. Israel is a creation of Britain and America and those that won the Second World War. If Christianity, if the Bible or Judaism is that important, why is Israel using bombs, using fighter aircrafts, using drones, using different weapons of war to go to war, than using the Bible or Jesus or Judaism, whatever you call it? So there's no power in those things. There's no power. So don't be emotional and attach your brainwashed head into something that you're supposed to know better as an African. That is why we are using this lecture to advise you to step aside and be neutral in this expansion of World War III. And before we continue, I have to beg you again to please join, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and other social media platforms, because what we are educating you from the standpoint of our lecture is from Igbo man, Biafran, and African perspectives. That's why you should join us. And we started by telling you that the attack by Israel on Iran on June 13 is from Greco-Roman Empire to the expansion of World War III. Because the empires we have had, the Greco-Roman Empire, which lasted from 360 to 146 before Christian era, was the Romans and the Greeks coming together to start to try to rule the world, try to get your land and resources. And then afterwards, the Roman Empire, which lasted from 27 before BCE, which is before Christian era, to 476 CE, Christian era. It lasted for almost 22 centuries, which is almost 22,000 years, ending in 1453. That was why the Christian religion, that's why the Catholic Church is very, very strong in today's world, because they ruled the world for so many years, and they made all. In fact, they are the one that created the world that we are living today. And then come to the British Empire, which started from 1500 Christian era. You know, the year what we are counting now, like 2025, is Christian era. So the British Empire started 1500 Christian era CE to early 20th century. And it also lasted for 3 centuries, about 300 years. And it declined, like we said, in the early 20th century, and covering about 400 million people. And we said to you, we want you to know that by 1900, by the Western powers, we say Spain, Belgium, Britain, France, Italy, and the others, they left their land to start to conquer other lands based on the papal bull of the 15th century. That's how they start to acquire all the land and resources. And by 1900, they're already occupying 85% of all the lands and resources in the world. And in 1884 to 1885, they brought the map of Africa in Berlin, Germany, and shared the land to themselves. As we speak to you now, if you are from Africa, you do not own the land of Africa. The land belonged to the colonial masters. That's what we want you to know. And then the First World War, which was fought between 1914 to 1918. And those who fought the war in the Allied forces, France, UK, Russia, United States, Italy, Japan, against the Central Powers. The Central Powers are Germany, Austria, and Hungary. Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire is the current Turkey and Bulgaria. After that war, that was when the land of the Arabs, the Middle East, was shared to the winners. And that was how Britain got Palestine, also got Saudi Arabia. The crown prince of Saudi Arabia, it was Britain that decided that that family will be the leader in Saudi Arabia. And also that led to when they went to, after the Second World War, Second World War started from 1939 to 1945. And who are those in the fight? UK, Russia, USA, China, France. And who are they fighting against? The Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan. And we want to point out to you that Italy was part of the Allied forces in the First World War, but her interest changed and she fought against the Allied forces, and then she also lost in that Second World War. So it was after that Second World War that they decided to establish the State of Israel. Remember, the State of Israel was established in 1948, and then Britain and America and the winners of that war decided to site the current Israel on the land of the Palestinian people. That is the genesis of all the wars that have been going on there. So anybody telling you it's because of Christian, because of this and that, that's not true. And so that was why the wars that Israel had been having, because the Arabs said no at that time when the America and Britain and those that won that war wanted to establish the state of Israel in the land of the Palestinians. And now, we also told you that currently, even before Israel attacked Iran, that we're already in Third World War. All the wars we are having in the world, the Ukraine-Russian war, the Israeli fighting with the Palestinian in Gaza every day, people are killed, properties are destroyed, food are not given to the people, there's hunger, there's punishment every day. that you wake up. Israel fighting with the Lebanese people in Lebanon, in Syria, and occupying their lands. The Sudan war, where the armed forces of the government and the rapid response forces are fighting. The war between the colonial masters and the Association of AES states in the Sahel region, made up of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. They are fighting to kill their leaders or to put in their puppet there so that they can be in control again. That's a war. And then the war going on in the Democratic Republic of Congo between the M23 and other interest groups there. Those are wars. Those are part of the Third World War. And then the war going on in Nigeria between the Fulani terrorist herdsmen and the rest of Nigeria is also war. The other day, they killed 200 people in Benue, and they've been killing and killing and killing all across Nigeria. And even in Enugu State, they kill about 12 or more people, and they're kidnapping, harvesting organs. People are paying ransoms, and people are in fear in Nigeria as we speak today. That's a war, just to mention a few. All this we know. We're already in the Third World War. Don't let any other person tell you something else. Don't wait. You are waiting until you hear from the main media or CNN. They won't tell you what they call corporate media or corporate media, the media that is representing the colonial masters. They cannot tell you the truth. That is why you should always join us, subscribe to us, so that anytime we present a new lecture, you'll be the first to get it. And so what we are saying is that the attack by Israel on Iran is an expansion of the currently going Third World War, which is already ongoing. It is an expansion of that war. And we're not going to go into the detail of who is damaging war and who is damaging war. We just want you to understand what is going on. And then the world is now looking at United States of America, because they know, the world know from what has been going on that they've been supporting Israel all this time, all this power that Israel, people who say Israel is powerful, Israel is this, Israel, it was America that is supporting them, giving them money, giving them weapons, giving them everything they need to win the war. That's what's been going on. And in this instance now, we had that America was having a meeting with Iran about their nuclear stuff. But on the other side, they also know that Israel is planning to, attack them. So people are waiting now for America to either stand up for peace, like President Trump promised everybody, or go to war, which may lead to nuclear war. And we Africans don't have any nuclear warhead. And we are advising Africans to stay clear. Stay clear. Because be neutral. Neutrality is what you need. Don't go and be conscripted. Just like the Kenyan government send their police to Haiti. Do not be conscripted to this war that is about to expand more and more. So as the days go by, the war will be expanding more and more. And if Africa stays neutral, that will be the best thing that will happen to us as Africans. Stay neutral. Don't be emotional. Don't be emotional of any type in what is going on. Be objective in your reasoning. And do not use Christianity or Judaism as a means of judging what is going on, because that's not right. Because if there's any power in Christianity or Judaism, Israel will not be using drones or aircraft or bombs. They will use the Bible or Jesus to fight the war. They'll be praying for Bible and Jesus to fight for them. So do not attach emotion from religion, from Christianity. in what is going on in Israel or in Iran. We are just be neutral, be objective in your analysis. This is what we are asking you to do. And with this, we shall be bringing today's lecture to an end. But before we do, we must encourage you to work hard, support IPOB and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to dismantle the colonial boundaries in Africa. Because the colonial boundaries that the Europeans drew in Berlin between 1884 to 1885 is the genesis of the hunger, migration, the wars, the poverty, the loss of identity that we have in Africa and all over the world. And with this, we shall be bringing today's lecture to an end. Thank you very much for joining us, and have a nice, beautiful day. Thank you, and have a good one. Bye-bye. Thank you.